Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In this first course, we will explain why an Islamic approach is needed for an objective subject like studies. So, at the very first stage, it seems like when you are talking about 2 plus 2 equals 4, this is the same for Christians, Jews, atheists, Muslims. So, what's the point of having an Islamic approach? It seems absurd to talk about an Islamic approach to statistics. Can we mix religion with numbers? In this first lecture, I want to explain why an Islamic approach is necessary. So the first thing to note is that the appearance of objectivity, that statistics is like 2 plus 2 equals 4, this is deceptive. There is a famous book called How to Lie with Statistics, and this is the most widely sold statistics book of all time, with more sales than all other books in statistics put together. So it is also well known that statistics is associated with lying. Famous statement made by Mark Twain: there are lies, damned lies, and statistics. So why is it so that statistics and lying seem to go together? There's a reason for this. Statistics is actually a modern form of rhetoric. And what is rhetoric? Rhetoric is the art of persuasion. And this, the ancient form, was at the heart of Western education for centuries. The principles of rhetoric go back to Aristotle. It is about having credibility, about making emotional appeal, about using logic and facts, using an opportune moment, good timing, and using a correct framing story or narrative in which to put your arguments. But these things are no longer taught. There are two ways in which statistics excludes those dimensions which refer to values and creates an appearance of objectivity. One illusion is created by the objectivity of numbers. When you look at a number, it seems like this is an objective fact and there is nothing you can do to argue. And this is a mistake. And as we will see in this lecture, whenever you have two or more dimensions involved in judging anything, then combining those two dimensions involves value judgments. And the second problem which arises is the separation of theory and practice which has taken place. The statisticians just look at the numbers, and the field experts looks at the relation between the numbers and the field. This separation is also a problem because it makes statistics appear to be objective when it is not. So we come to the two objections, to two problems that create the illusion of objectivity, and one of them is the numbers. So suppose I say that there are 23 students in this classroom. This is obviously objective, verifiable, and the same for all observers. So this is truly objective. But suppose I say that the GNP in Pakistan in 2018 was $1.244 trillion measured in terms of purchasing power parity. Is this second statistics of the same kind? Is this objective, verifiable, indisputable? Anyone who goes to measure it will come to the same number? This is not true. This statistics has a lot of different value judgments built into it, but it has the appearance of objectivity the same as the 23 students. And so this is the illusion. I want to explain this illusion in a very simple example in terms of college rankings. The US News and World Report gives us 15 factors that they use and many different sub-factors to judge colleges across the world and give them a single number by which they are ranked. I'll just take three of them just for the sake of illustration. So one of these numbers is the graduation rate. What percentage of students graduate? The more the better. Faculty resources, how much the faculty get paid, what degrees they have, how many they have, and what's the student faculty ratio. These are the things that go into one number which measures faculty resources. And then there is selectivity. What is the percentage of applicants who get admitted? The more selective the college is, the higher its rank. Now suppose that these are the only three, and suppose that I'm running a college and I want to increase my ranking. What should I do? Well, I should graduate more students. So if I was failing 10% I should graduate less students. More students. So if I was graduating 90% and 10% were failing, I should take all those failures and just give them a degree. Faculty resources, student faculty ratio, well, I can improve that by decreasing the number of students. And also this goes with selectivity. Suppose I have 100 applicants and I just admit 50 of them instead of 80 as I used to. Then I will have fewer students. My faculty resources will improve and my selectivity will improve, and so I will have, and I graduate everybody I admit. Automatically I'll get top ranking on these. So the point is that these numbers do not measure what we are trying to measure, and this happens very often. And yet when you come to a number that the US News and World Report ranking of this college is 8.7, you say, oh, this is an objective fact and cannot be disputed. But obviously, as I've shown, this can be disputed in many different ways. The most important thing which very few people understand is that if you have one dimension, then you can rank people. So if you say how many students are there in the college, so then one college has more students and one has less, and we can rank them. But as soon as you get more than one criteria, you must mix them in some way, and all mixes are automatically subjective. And then in statistics, we hide this subjectivity to create an illusion of objectivity. To give a simple example which can easily be understood, consider three students who have SAT scores. Mahdi has 800 in verbal and 400 in math. Tazeen has 400 in verbal and 800 in math, and Belabas has 600 and 600 in both of them. So which of these is the best student? Well, it should be obvious that there is no answer to the question. There is no unique answer. Mahdi is best in English, Tazeen is best in math, and Belabas is best in having a balanced score. Now we can assign weights to these two numbers and add them up. We can just simply add them, in which case all of them will have 1200, so they are all equal. But if I put more weight on math, then Tazeen will come out on top, and Belabas will be second, and Mahdi will be last. If I apply more weight to verbal, then I will reverse this ranking. And so according to the weights I apply, which depends on basically the value I attach to verbal skills versus the value attached to math skills, I can make any one of these three come out to be on top. And this is always the case whenever we have multiple dimensions in which people are being measured. So what does this have to do with Islam? Well, basically, statistics creates an illusion of objectivity. It is not like 2 plus 2 equals 4. When we judge which of the three students is better, when we want to judge which of these different colleges is better, then we have to make value judgments. And value judgments is a place where Islam provides us with a lot of guidance. The second barrier to values we will discuss very briefly, because we will actually illustrate it in the course. And this comes from the separation between theory and application. The standard model, the narrative which is told, the topos of a statistic theory, is that there is a complex reality. Statistician doesn't know anything about that. That is the job of the field expert. The field expert analyzes this reality and distills this into numbers. And that is the data. Then the statistician looks at the data and he does his analysis. The statistician just looks at the data. He doesn't look at the reality, the complex reality which is behind the data. So this separation of tasks, the field experts deal with reality, statistician deals with number. This is wrong. You cannot analyze the numbers independently of the data. And once we start doing analysis of data in conjunction with the reality, then automatically the purpose of the analysis will come in. And when we come to purpose, then values will be involved. And so we will illustrate this in many places in this course. So basically, we've come to the end of this exposition. How do values enter into statistics? If we break down the barrier between theory and practice, then values will enter. When we are making judgments of who is good and who is bad according to multiple criteria, then judgments enter. The choice of what factors we use to evaluate colleges or to evaluate countries or to calculate wealth, all of these are involved deep discussion of values. And so the idea that statistics can be done without values and done objectively, this is a wrong idea. And once we overcome this idea, then the values that we need to add into statistics can come from Islamic sources. So that's one answer to the question of